Get rich fast with csgofast.com.
For me, the major tournament is where you get to see why Counter-Strike is the esports that's going to outlast all other esports.
Favorite major, a lot of them, so I don't know if I have one, but I'd have to almost go all the way back to the very first one, right? The very first DreamHack one. Kind of started it all. Our game was, back, so to speak, big 1.6 fans, so to see Global Offensive have its actual developer support, big prize money, and again, it was kind of like our game isn't dead, and we have a new version of it, and it was starting to grow. Now, obviously, it's come a long way since then. The production wasn't, that extravagant. We were in the DreamHack areas, but again, I think it was the one that kind of started the world of majors, right? And now we're here at our 11th, so there you go.
Once I got there, I had to work with, Tosspot, who was a big name and has a big personality, so there was some sort of learning curve in figuring out how to work with people that I would consider to be famous. And then I had to work with Lurfus as well, that had sort of a reputation as being, I guess, a bit of a hard ass, and a lot of people were sort of actually warning me beforehand and saying, you've got to be real careful about this one because this could get, a bit dicey, and it worked fine. Like I actually found Tommy to be really funny and really just hilarious. A lot of the time off the camera, but even on the camera, and I think we did pretty well.
We went there to try and qualify in the BOC, and we got knocked out, and we didn't actually make it through to the main tournament. But we'd befriended Fnatic, and we were really good friends with them, and I think we were the only people in that auditorium for that final. We were sitting in the front row, we snuck in, and we got some seats before anyone else got in there. And there was me, the team, one of our teammates' dads, and my girlfriend at the time, and we were the only people in that whole auditorium cheering for Fnatic while everyone else was chanting for NIP. And every time they won a round, every time they were getting frags, we were jumping up, cheering, and it was a pretty crazy time, I think.
So the start of 2014, we'd already seen DreamHack had taken the first major, and I was part of the ESL team at the time, and I was absolutely passionate that we should have a major as well, and we had Katowice coming up, which we'd already done the previous year, and I really wanted to get CSGO to the major, and fortunately Uli Schultz at ESL was of the same opinion and managed to negotiate getting the major to ESL in Katowice, but it wasn't part of the IEM, it wasn't part of Intel Extreme Masters, so it had to be part of the EMS1, which meant for the most part it was almost a sideshow, but it was the first time we'd been able to bring Counter-Strike into a big arena and a big stadium in front of 10,000 people. So when we had the grand final there, and it was NIP versus Virtus Pro, it was just absolutely magical to have the Polish 5 in the grand final on Polish home soil, on a big stage, in a huge stadium. And then obviously having Virtus Pro win it made it even better as well for the Polish crowd. But for us at ESL at the time, it was kind of a proof of concept.
So I was really nervous going into that final day because, again, never been in front of an audience that loud. Our desk got moved out to that area so we could see them, they could see us. And then Virtus Pro, crazy match, denies NIP again and wins the title at home. Awesome stuff.
So ESL 1 Cologne, 2014, we were working very heavily. I was working with ESL at the time, so we were working very heavily on the stage show. Obviously it was part of Gamescom, it wasn't yet out in the big arenas at that time. So it was perhaps a little smaller, and people perhaps forget just how cool that tournament was. It was, of course, the tournament that NIP finally won after losing the previous two majors. And as a friend of all of the players in the team, and particularly Forrest and Get Right for a number of years, and Fifth Laren for a very long time, it was a personal enjoyment for me. It was amazing watching them on the stage, amazing watching them in the match, and then for them to finally win a major. And I knew how much it meant, particularly to Chris, to finally get his hands on that trophy. So when we had the final and it finished and he grabbed the trophy and basically hugged the trophy as if it was something he'd always wanted, it was absolutely genuine. It was exactly what he'd always wanted, and it was a real privilege to just be able to be there and be close to him and be able to tell him well done. So ESL 1 Cologne for me is a magical moment.
DreamHack Winter 2014 for me is one of the standout ones, the one I have the most memories from, just because there were so many things that came together to make it just an amazing event. We actually had a stage that allowed for a four-corner approach, right? You had the three sets of seats, right, that went up, and then you had it just wide open. And then obviously, I mean, you can't really forget the rivalry at the time between LDLC and Fnatic, and that was the main match that you were expecting to see go absolutely crazy. And they happened to face in the quarterfinals and I believe it was Fnatic losing to Hellraisers that caused that to happen. So Hellraisers, that was where like the myth came up of the group wreckers, and then we wind up with that draw. And I remember stomping out of the production room when we saw the draw, and just shouting, that's it, the major's ruined, because I was so mad that they had drawn the two best teams in the tournament. Because we didn't quite know where NIP were going to be with Michael, right? You knew that they could be good, but really all eyes were on LDLC and Fnatic. It was pretty much the rivalry going into it. You expected that to be a god tier match, and you expected them to be on opposite sides of the bracket so that we could get that final, right? But it happened in the quarterfinals, and I was just furious. I was just like, this is it, it's over, it's ruined, shit, fuck everything. And sure enough, we got, what happened next is history, right? The very back and forth kinds of matches, each team winning, and then obviously the cataclysmic Olaf boost. So plenty of memories.
My major memory from Katowice 2015 would have to be the finals of the tournament where NIP and Fnatic faced off in a filled Spodek arena, and it was one heck of a game. I remember distinctly a moment on Dust 2. It was the closing stages of that map, and NIP had taken control of the game. The Fnatic takes one of their famous Fnatic timeouts and whips out the Tech 9s, goes for an A split with those Tech 9s, and then Alu, who's playing on A ramp, he takes a shot that controversially goes through the player, and then that basically wins the round for Fnatic, and they go on to then take the game to overtime, win on Dust 2, and also takes care of Inferno in the map after, and therefore win the tournament. So that's something that really comes into my mind when I think about that tournament.
My memories of ESL 1 Cologne 2015, they're very crazy just because I don't remember a whole lot of the actual Counter-Strike that happened. That was the biggest Counter-Strike event we'd had up to that date. The first time we were at Lanxess Arena, the first time we'd had that many fans in attendance of a Counter-Strike event. And most of my memories center around how crazy the crowd was. But probably my favorite from that is the very first day of the arena, the quarterfinals. It was Navi versus Envious. And I remember walking to the back of the floor of the arena with Semler, picking up a couple Thundersticks on the way. And in that match, it was so crazy. During one of the executes, it was Kenny, I believe, who knifed Guardian, and the entire crowd erupted, and Semler and I in the back of the floor, just going absolutely mental ourselves, just with the crowd. I mean, it just erupted. It wasn't even that crazy of a play. It wasn't even that high impact. It was just the heat of the moment and the excitement from all the fans was absolutely incredible. And that's the kind of event that we'd all dreamed of up until that point. So that was a very, very special moment.
One of my best performances as a player was actually at a major in Cologne 2015, where we took on Titan in an elimination match. So we had lost to TSM in the first round on Train, and then we were going into the second match against Titan, and we thought we had drawn a pretty rough end with that one, but we bluffed our way through the veto. Neither team at the time wanted to play Mirage, and we actually ended up on Mirage due to the randomizer. And we did have some really fast, quick strats prepared, which kind of worked with the flow of the team at the time. And I felt that I was completely on top of them, their rotations, every strat I called worked, and I think I dropped 27 frags or something and had a huge performance, and the most notable of my career, I think, which is something I'm very proud of. But all the hype from that match, we led into the next game against NIP and got blown out of the water 16-5 or something on Inferno, and that was it. But I still remember that match like it was yesterday.
My memory from DreamHack Cluj-Napoca at the end of 2015 is actually a Friberg. NIP at that event was in one of their downturns, and they hadn't been performing well. Specifically, Friberg was on blast. He was in a little bit of a slump heading into that event. He had some poor games in the group stages, and leaning into it, they were playing against TSM, which is now Astralis in that event. And that's where this famous picture of Friberg after one of his bad games was tweeted out by Red Eye of him with everyone else gone in the practice area. He was the only one there just deathmatching all by himself, and you can see empty chairs everywhere, and you can see empty PCs and PCs turned off, and his is the only one with just Friberg sitting at a computer in the glowing light. And it's a very defining picture just because the next day he goes into the quarterfinal against TSM, who were massive favorites, not only to beat NIP in that match, but to win the entire event. And that just happened to be one of the games where Friberg went absolutely insane. He was incredible, single-handedly just annihilated TSM. It's one of those incredible performances where the shots he was hitting, he might not ever be able to hit those shots ever again. It was just an incredible Herculean individual performance out of Friberg, and I'll always remember that game and how intense it was and how cool it was just to see one player dominate in such a fashion after rebounding from a slump.
So, favorite major, really tough question, got a bunch of them, but I think in some regards I would have to say the MLG major that was in Columbus. I hosted that desk, obviously first major on American soil. Liquid has this amazing run. Unfortunately stopped short, but great stuff. Just to be in that arena, again, packed arena, full of crazy people chanting all sorts of stuff. And again, on home soil, my favorite game, got to put it right up there with one of my favorites.
My favorite major would be MLG Columbus. It was in North America, and I felt like it was a festival. Some tournaments have taken place inside a festival, whereas that one was a festival in itself. And that was quite enjoyable. The crowd made it amazing. The over-the-top patriotism was absolutely perfect. It was a great job by MLG as well, and we were graced with really good matches for the live crowd. So it was great. It was nice being popped in the middle of the crowd as well to commentate, and it was just the atmosphere really made it amazing for me. Obviously, the Counter-Strike's always good, but it really did feel like a festival in itself, and that is something beautiful for just a tournament.
To have that atmosphere and to be able to actually kind of cast a really huge match, and I think the standout moment for me was Liquid and Fnatic in that semi-final. That is just, I don't know, it's kind of the same reason as with Columbus as well, but obviously just the game just delivers, the players deliver. There's so many exciting moments, and me and James standing behind the desk just going absolutely nuts just whilst everything's going off, and that's like the perfect thing for a commentator. You have the crowd, you can really feel the vibe in the atmosphere because you're basically there in it, and you have an amazing game, and I think it's just one of the casts that I think that I've done the best with James, as a duo, and so I think that's always something we look back on. And
the other major that I have really fond memories of is definitely the E-League major, which I guess is the most recent one outside of this PGL one. And that was just a crazy and wild experience working with Turner as a big American television company and seeing how they set up events once they're outside of their studio and working creatively with trying to sort of make the best features and trying to make everything come together in a big way was very interesting. The games, I think especially in my mind, the last one that's burned in there is obviously the finals between Virtus.pro and Astralis. How crazy that was. I still try and sort of search my memory for figuring out how they got from 13-7 to winning that last train game. And yeah, I think no matter how old I end up becoming, I don't think I'll ever forget that game. So that was very special, and the crowd was there as well. American crowd was really great. It was a smaller crowd than we have at a lot of the other tournaments. It was a great way to show that you don't necessarily need 15,000, although obviously that's impressive, but sometimes you could do fine with 3,000 or 4,000. I think that's an important lesson, and yeah, all of that, the energy was there. It was it's a really good memory in my mind.